and welcome to my stop on Mercy Tiara's 27-day challenge inspiration hop. You saw that beautiful Ulta New stamp set, which is called Spring Daisy. I'm going to be using that today, and I'm going to create a card based off of the sketch that was at the beginning of this video. So I wanted to create some beautiful daisies, but I wanted to give them an autumn feel. I also did not want any sort of black on my card because I'm going to be creating using lots and lots of fall colors. So we're going to be using browns and mints, and a lot of my color choices was heavily influenced by the fact that I received some of Cardabella's fall market collection, and I just really wanted to play with it. So since I don't want any black on my layout, I'm going to be stamping my flowers using just colors. And this is a fun way to play around with your Ulta New layering stamps, or layering stamps from anybody, really. And you can have totally, completely different look. So I'm going to be stamping my stamps using a variety of orange and yellow Ulta New inks for the flowers. Some of these flowers, this is one of the early layering stamps, so some of the flowers have layering bits and some of them don't. And so I thought it might be really fun to kind of alternate between flowers that have the filled in layers and the stamps that didn't. So I stamped all of the images that are on this stamp set one time each, and that gave me some filled in elements and some elements that were just outlines, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of mix and match and play with those. You can see me here doing the green layers. Again, I started with a deep dark green in evergreen, and then I filled it in with a leaf. I think it's called fresh leaf. And then I'm just going to continue here. I am using Gina K's premium cardstock, which I have found to be the most perfect cardstock for layering stamps because it is very heavyweight. It can take a lot of ink, and it doesn't pill, and it doesn't kind of bleed at all. It's really, really nice ink. And a huge thank you to Sandy Reversky, who is State Goddess on YouTube, because when we were at CHA together, she's the one that showed me this amazing cardstock. And since then, I have come to adore it. So if you're looking for a good, really good cardstock for layering stamps where you're going to be using lots and lots of layers of ink, I highly recommend the Gina K Premium Ultra White cardstock because it is really lovely for that, for this type of application. So I'm going to go ahead here, continue stamping out my images. I'm going to set them aside so that they can dry really, really well because I probably stamped every image twice, and there's a lot of ink on that paper, and it's dye ink. So we're going to set it aside, we're going to let it dry, and I'm going to go ahead and start working on another layer of my stamp set. So this is one sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and it's going to do double duty. It's going to be my card front, part of my card front, as well as the stamped images, and I am not going to waste those little scraps. Most of the time, scraps go straight into the garbage, but there are certain papers that I have that are quite pricey. This is one of them, and I refuse to throw anything but the teeniest, tiniest of scraps away. This is the 6x6 stencil that comes in the Fall Market collection. I have gotten out my ink blending brushes, and I have gotten out, now I did grab the brown because I thought at first I was going to do a brown ombre at the top, but I opted not to. I decided that I didn't need it at all. It was totally fine. And so I'm starting with Autumn Blaze, and then I'm going to go in with a Snapdragon, and the last color I use of my Ulta New inks is called Chamomile, and I'm going to create kind of an ombre going from dark to light. I'm going to go over all of these a number of times, really getting those colors blended together so that that beautiful ombre is quite prominent, and you can see how it looks here. It's beautiful. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to set this aside again so that it can dry really well. and I'm going to go clean off my stencil, and then we can start to put this card together. Alright, before I turned my camera back on, I went ahead and fussy cut all of those stamped images. I didn't have a die set that goes with the stamp set, but actually I don't think I would have used it anyway because I really didn't want too much of a white border around these flowers. I wanted them to be fussy cut very close to the edge. So I'm going to use that striped paper as part of my card, and I'm going to use one of these 3x4 cards. I chose one that I liked the outside of because I knew I was going to pretty much fill in the whole card with the flowers, and whatever was in the middle was going to get covered up. So I just went with this one that has this pretty wide gingham across the outside edge of the card, and that's the one that I'm going to use. To put my card together, I'm starting with that stenciled piece of cardstock that I created. I'm just going to go ahead and place that down right on my card. And then I'm going to grab the 1.5 inch strip. Oh, I'm going to trim. I always have to trim. I make my own card bases, and I always have to trim, no matter how perfectly I try. A bone folder helps. A bone folder definitely 1000%. If you have a Teflon bone folder, you're good. But I often still find I still have just the teeniest, tiniest little bit that needs to be trimmed off. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and place down that 3x4 card, and now it's time to just go crazy with the flowers. So I want all of these stamped flowers to be a big cluster on my card. And I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to decide where I want all these flowers. I'm going to pop them up with pop dots at certain points. I kind of started by laying them out. I didn't, this wasn't a stick and plunk endeavor. I definitely went through here and kind of got them all where I wanted them, moved them around until I was sure that I really liked the placement and that that was where I wanted them to be. And then I'm going to kind of lift them all up, as it were. This one stem I did end up cutting down. It was just a tad longer than I needed it to be to fit within the confines of that 3x4 card. But that's okay. And now I'm going to start ever so carefully pulling each of these itty bitty pieces out and gluing them down. I'm going to start with the back pieces and move on to the forward pieces. And certain areas of the card, I think I end up pop dotting 2 areas. So these are thin foam squares, which means they will absolutely, positively, 100% be able to be mailed without a problem. Because they do have a little bit of dimension, but it's like just, you know, a wee little bit. It's not enough to suddenly, your card doesn't fit in the envelope or goofy stuff like that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the 2 biggest flowers. And one of them is going to get popped up. And of course, we've come to the point of the month where I only have the teeny tiny 3D foam squares, thin foam squares left, just the teeny tiny ones. So we're going to use those. And I'm going to pop up that second flower. Now, I like to do things on the inside of my card. Oh, wait, enamel dots. So I got enamel dots. I have used to use enamel dots on every single thing that I ever made. But recently, not recently, like, years ago, I primarily these days use sequins for all the things. And I would have liked to have used sequins, but I didn't have any that really matched the colors in this collection. So I went ahead and used some of the enamel dots instead. And I'm going to use the inside of the card. So in the ephemera pack that goes with this collection, there's this cute little tag that just says thank you. And I thought, well, that worked perfectly for an inside sentiment and to dress up the inside of my card just a little bit. And that's going to complete this. We are ready to mail. Thank you so much for stopping along on my stop on the hop today. Be sure to head down below to see who's up next and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.